Guess what we saw?
We saw a movie.
It was a good movie, for once. I don't know how to feel about that. I just realized I'm not wearing my glasses, so you're going to have to deal with that. I look like a fraction less sexy.
Yeah.
Well. So we saw a movie that was being put on by the Foyle Film Festival.
Yeah.
And we were actually bought tickets to the Northern Ireland premiere of What We Do in the Shadows.
The
It's
Kiwi.
a New Zealand film. Don't say Kiwi, that's a slur. They don't like that.
Is it?
I think it is. I don't think you're supposed to say that.
Someone tell me, is this
If
a
you're
slur?
from New Zealand, write the show. I mean, do we have any fans in New Zealand?
I
I'm
don't
sure
know,
we do.
But
If you're from Australia and you know, if a New Zealander has told you if that's right, write the show.
Because I don't think it is.
I think that it's a slur. I'm pretty sure, okay, this is based on two people who went to Australia who came back and told me that, if you say it and you don't mean a fruit, it's a slur.
What about the bird?
Well, obviously you were talking about the bird, it's not a slur. This film was made in New Zealand, you know.
It is nice to have a comedy horror from New Zealand, which is good again.
It was a comedy mockumentary, and it was a class act. Like, literally, pause this on Blip right now, or if you're seeing this on TikTok or wherever you are, pause it and go look up the trailer. Because it is magical. This is literally the best movie I've seen all year. And I can tell when a movie's good. I think I've said this on other Backseat critiques. If I'm watching it and I don't stop to think, oh, what do I got for dinner tomorrow? What am I doing that day? Like, I'm working this. Now, if I'm not thinking about my outside life, if I'm too absorbed in the reality of the movie to think about outside things, like, I'll still notice details and stuff like that. But if I'm too, that's good. That's really good. And this was just top notch. Not a single moment of it felt forced. What do you have to say?
I wouldn't say it's as perfect as that.
Well, I see less movies than you, and I think it was good.
It was really, really, really good. But there was one scene where they were using mind control tricks on Nick before he was involving spaghetti and stuff, and his performance was a bit fake. But the rest of it, perfect, pretty much.
You should give him the premise, by the way.
Just some vampires have a
Documentary crew.
For some reason, they're complaining. This is one of the problems with the logic of the film. That they're complaining about people drawing attention to them being vampires and stuff. Yet they've got a documentary.
Somebody makes the point. He's like, "Stop drawing attention to us. You have a camera crew following you." Yeah, but that's different. They're making a documentary about us.
Yeah, it's lamp shading. It doesn't quite get rid of the problem. It just means that they realize it's a problem.
It was good. It was good. There was some very politically correct werewolves. There goes the cat. Sorry about that, guys.
Yeah, it reminded me the world that this was set up in.
Very World of Darkness.
Yeah, and the same. So it reminded me a little bit of is it Damon Dog Dead of Night, which is based on an Italian comic. Which apparently based on people like the comic, don't like the film, but I haven't seen the comic. I just knew the film. And Death Valley, this one season thing from American TV from a few years ago, which was like a version of Cops, wherein vampires, werewolves, and zombies had just attacked the small suburb of Los Angeles. And so they had this Cops sort of thing for these guys specially trained to deal with supernatural things.
That's kind of cool.
And it was really fun.
I ran a World of Darkness Mortals campaign like that, where they were basically just picking up the pieces of various supernaturals. And, Kitten, what are you doing? Oh, she's trying to get through the door. But yeah, so, I don't know when this is going to come out for reals. I think I saw February in the US.
Yeah, I know it's been out in America, but for film festivals.
Yeah.
So this is like an advanced screening.
Yeah. And so it's been out in New Zealand.
Oh yeah, cause
yeah.
Yeah.
But I think I saw February 2015 for America. I don't know when for the UK.
Probably after that.
Yeah, probably.
Actually, we'll probably get a direct-to-DVD release, most likely.
I want the soundtrack. The soundtrack was good.
Guga Bordello.
Yeah, just a lot of very, like, Eastern European and inspired stuff. It was good. It was good.
And the main characters, you got the four main vampires.
So great.
Okay, 3 of them were based on vampire archetypes.
Mm-hmm.
You had one of them was based on Nosferatu, one was clearly based on Gary Oldman's version of Dracula, and one seemed to be based on an Anne Rice one. But I'm trying to work out the Deacon. What archetype was Deacon based on? Because I have not worked it out.
He was just that asshole friend you have as a vampire. That's what I think. That asshole roommate that won't pay rent. You know, that asshole that he's just such a douchebag. But you keep him around because he's your friend. I mean, I've had friends who are just like, yeah, I'm such an asshole. You're like, you are such an asshole, but, you know, he's your friend, so you put up with him.
I'm sure they took inspiration from a type of vampire. I just
it's
can't
possible.
think. Maybe Lost Boys type one. Maybe they mentioned.
Yeah, because he does do like a line from Lost Boys and like try to pass it off as his own. He's like, we got the idea from the Lost Boys, but I think I do it better.
And the fact that they don't know anything about modern technology and they also knew about the Lost Boys kind of indicates that's a slight logical flaw. I'm thinking about it.
It could have been described to them. Well, they have other modern vampire friends who could have told them about it.
This is true.
Like, yeah, that's the thing. Is like they're like, oh, we have there's like a vampire community. Like there are 60 or 70 vampires in the city of Wellington. And the thing I like best was they come up to these two like one teen-ish girl and one kind of preteen girl. They're like, how you girls doing? I'm like, oh no, they're not gonna. He's like, they're like, you gonna feed tonight? And like, yeah, we're gonna watch some pedophiles tonight. We have a meetup. And I'm like, that's what a great concept. Like preteen girl vampires that feed on pedophiles. No, that's brilliant. That's a character concept right there. There was a ghoul, okay, a vampiric servant who was this like
familiar,
who was just great like self-actualized suburban soccer mom, and it was so good. Like I said, yeah. I'm very tired. I got up really early. I worked like 8.5 hours today and then went out. So
you love this film.
It was good.
My favorite bit is at the start. One of the main ones.
they can fly too, and that leads to a whole bunch of jokes.
They used all the theatrical, old school vampire things, random floating and turning into animals and
turning into bats was good.
Getting out of the coffin just by like floating up like that.
And they used some real. I mean, you can tell that this had very little budget. And they used camera tricks really well. They used
old school vampire movie camera tricks.
Yeah. Like there was one scene where they had, obviously like a mannequin or, like a corpse done up somehow. And then they're like, oh, and they go in close and the camera blurs because of course it's, someone's doing a handheld. And then you see the guy's head's on right. And we're like, oh, okay, yeah, that was, I see how they did that.
Yeah. Well, my favorite part of the whole thing, you've got one of the main character, Virago, he's just woken up and
Spoilers, don't spoil it.
But that's the very start. He's sort of taking us around the house to his various roommates. So one of them is sleeping upside down, they're hanging by his legs.
Oh yeah.
They go to the boss. They go down to the basement where the sort of the classic Nosferatu type vampires. He's got like a stone slab from his thing. But you open up Vladislav, who is basically Gary Oldman's version of Dracula. Open up his room. And he's on the far wall, high up there, in an impossibly large thing. Yeah, having sex with 3 wives. And then he slams the door again. Then a second later, the door gets opened from the inside, and it's actually a much smaller room, and the wives have gone.
Yeah.
And it's just that's a beautiful parody of the
classic.
The dimension shaping weirdness and gravity defying weirdness that is all over Bram Stoker's Dracula.
And it was really great because occasionally they're telling like their backgrounds. It's like, so I was a Nazi. I was a Nazi vampire, and like they'll have like intercut with like old woodcuts of like medieval woodcuts of vampires, and it was just.
You made to look at the people, and the Nazi vampire footage of him as a Nazi, killing allies and stuff.
And then the shit like, we will make with subtitles. We will make a vampire army.
But he's parodied things like Frankenstein's army.
After the war, the Nazis lost the war,
I don't know if you know that.
If you know that. But to be a Nazi, not so good. To be a vampire, not so good. If you were a vampire Nazi.
Oh, no way.
So, we're not gonna, usually we'll be like, alright, spoilers, but I don't want to.
There's very little story here. It's just lots of little character bits.
The good parts of it,
Just lots of character
see it for
bits.
yourself and like.
They all fall in love with their new vampire's friend Stu, who has no actual qualities. He's just
an
guy.
IT guy. He's just like kind of around.
He says almost nothing. He's just standing there, but they all think he's amazing. All my life, I've loved just the concept of there's someone there, and the audience have no idea why they're so good, but everyone else just loves him, and it's a funny idea to me.
The implication was that. On camera he's camera shy, but like in like the background, like when the camera's not catching, he's like teaching them how to cook. And they use Google and they look at they watch a video of the sunrise on YouTube.
But the thing about Stu, it's like my love of the small child in A Fix with Sontarans. It's because he does nothing, He is clearly terrible. Everyone else has to act for him, and everyone thinks he's amazing. And I just find that funny. If there's one person who can't act, and they're not acting to such a degree that everyone else has to act, overact several hundred times more just to balance it out. I just find it funny.
It's just...
So he was a bit like that, but deliberate.
Go see it, because, I mean, I know it's not going to be out for many months.
And you have like a weird sea vampire guy at their party.
Everyone knows, like...
I don't know what the fuck...
Yeah, it goes like, well, what's wrong with his face? It's just, if you have a chance to catch it at a film festival, do so. I think right now on their website for a while, you have the chance to win a digital download. So I don't know if that's over, but go check it out, because definitely, if you want to...
Really good film.
Really go see it. I mean, usually we're like taking the piss out of really bad horror movies, but it's so weird
so funny
to rave about something. I think I tweeted about it too.
It's just good.
I mean, one of the guys from Flight of the Conchords was one of the main thrusts of this.
Mm-hmm.
He played one of the guys, and I think he was the director, was he not?
Co-director, writer, and he plays Vladislav.
He's friends with the really photogenic guy from Lord of the Rings.
Brett McKenzie.
Yeah.
Some of the bits, at least one part was where they filmed Weathertop in Lord of the Rings, you said?
Yeah, there's a scene where the vampires encounter a pack of werewolves, and apparently it was filmed on the same hill, which had the stage for where they filmed the scene from Weathertop where Frodo gets stabbed in Lord of the Ring and Fellowship of the Ring. Because that's what IMDb said. So.
And
if you were there at the show,
the outside of their house looks like one of the houses from The Frighteners. Could be from Wellington. So, but this just. I can't rave enough about it.
Yeah, seriously. I mean, go see it if you can. Get tickets when it comes out.
I could buy a copy and give it to Elisa.
Yeah.
Oh man,
Elisa, you have a few months to plan. Get a babysitter.
It's just Spinal Tap, but instead of having all the beloved tropes of heavy metal and stuff. It's got all the beloved tropes of decades of vampire movies all wrapped together.
And you know what? I think LARPers might enjoy it on a little bit of an extra level, too.
Yeah, the vampire bar looked like somewhere where you could do some LARPing.
It did. It looked like that really sad, community house or, community recreation center where they wouldn't mind if you LARPed in the snack bar as long as everyone agreed to, buy chili dogs or something. It was great.
And the guy who played Nick, he looked a lot like Cliff Curtis, who's a New Zealand actor who's in a bunch of action films and stuff. So I wouldn't be surprised if it was his nephew or son or something. I didn't notice the actor's name, but he did look like him.
Yeah. And no dogs were harmed in the filming of this movie.
This review?
No, because remember, the dog. He's like, look what you did. Oh, and the two police officers are just so great. They're so great. Yeah, so... Do you have anything else to say?
Just the random use of hypnosis and the cops going through and just...
Don't spoil it. Yeah, so...
Oh my god, look at that, look! There's no smoke alarms.
Yeah.
I want to see a whole sitcom about these guys.
I do...
As long as the writing quality keeps up.
That would be so great. Or a web series, actually. Because then you could do it in 10 to 15 minute bits, and so it wouldn't get stale.
Yeah.
Because some things can be really funny, but then when you try to make a sitcom out of it, it's really stupid. The Geico Cavemen being a big thing.
I think you got more possibilities with vampires than the cavemen. But
Yeah.
they could... I don't know, same guys do a movie about another mythological creature. They said they mentioned they had banshees and witches and stuff. We didn't see any of that, so...
Yeah.
Totally watch it, think about it.
There were some zombies. The elderly zombie was great. But and they Skype with just go see it. I mean,
yeah, he has to have a Skype conversation with his former thrall from 80 years earlier, who's been waiting on him to come back.
Don't spoil it. But so what more can I say?
Really good.
Go see it. I mean, when you can.
What goes on in the shadows? Quality stuff.
Quality street stuff.
Yeah.